right. Boy, it's been an adventurous night tonight.
This night has been nuts.
Yeah.
What happened to Don? No,
I'm calling him right now. He sent me a text, says, I'm waiting for your call.
All right.
So I'm going to dial him as we speak.
Let's get him on the phone.
Might as well cap off the evening with a little rockin' with Dokken. And talk to him. And call it an Easter.
Yeah.
Well, let me try it again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. There we go.
There it is. Dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum.
I potted it down so you don't hear the tones.
Doo-doo.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to have to do that?
Yeah, really.
Hello.
Hey, Don, you are live on the Classic Metal Show.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
Don, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, and the fans have been anticipating your guest slot here, and they have questions for you.
Uh-oh. As long as they're not personal.
No, they're not personal. First of all, Don, I've been hanging out with you a few times this year already, and I want to compliment you that you're sounding great.
Yeah, it took a while, didn't it? I just had a bad run there for a while, a couple of years, of my vocal cords and health, and I'm back to the attack.
Yeah.
Sorry about the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got some stuff coming up here, Don, and people had some questions about it. First of all, you're going to be at M3 in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to come out for that show. And are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm going to try. Well, we all are going to try this time not to make the same mistake we did last time we played M3.
What happened?
Well, we did 3 in a row, and we were flying every day, and by the time we got to M3, I mean, honestly, I was toast, and I don't feel that our performance was that good. I mean, I remember John and I were laying on the floor of the dressing room. We got into M3 at like 3 o'clock. We had to be on stage at 5:30, and it was a little ambitious, so we got the same problem this year. We're playing Portland, Maine. We're doing New Hampshire, flying every day. Then we get to M3, so I'm really going to try to get some rest so we can kick ass. I don't want to get there and we're all burned out. It's tough doing 3 in a row, boss. It's tough.
Yeah, I know. You did a 3-day run. You did a couple shows in Texas, and you did the show at the Whiskey a couple weeks ago, and you seemed to fare okay. How do you think that Whiskey show went?
Well, that was awesome. It was oversold out. It sold out like, a week after tickets were on sale, so it was sold out for 2 months, and they went over capacity, and it was fun. I like to play there once a year. People say, why you play in the Whiskey or not a bigger venue? I said, because I like to remember where I came from. We started there, It's home stomping grounds.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I had a caller call in a little bit ago, and I was playing something from the Dysfunctional. I was playing the Lesser of Two Evils, and that CD or that album seems to garner some interest for people who haven't explored it, like the first 4 records. And the question he had for you, he wanted me to ask you, is when you wrote that record and you were recording it, obviously it was going to be a solo record or a follow-up to Up From the Ashes, and right. This kind of brought the original or the most popular lineup of Dokken back together. His
Correct.
Question was to me to ask you is, how much leeway did you give George on that record when he came in to do the guitar parts? Did you just say, do what you have to do, or did you have any direction in that at all?
No, I let him do what he did. Basically, the album was done, finished, when George came on board. We'd already done it. We'd done it. We'd already written it, recorded it. It was almost ready for the mix stage. And then at the last minute, we signed with Columbia. John Kolodner signed us for that record, and he said you should bring George back on board. So we talked to George. He came in and just to do the solos basically, and maybe a couple rhythm tracks. That was about it. And I just said, I'm not going to tell George how to play guitar. I think he knows how to do it, so I just let him do his thing. But we did like we always do with George. George is more of a, he's not real structured. He doesn't really write a solo. He just plays whatever is in his head. And so I just let him burn up like 6 or 7 guitar tracks, and we just picked the best parts,
Right. Certainly. Now, Don, we've been hearing a lot of questions about the DVD, about the live DVD. When's it coming out? What's the deal with the song? Is there 1 song? Is there 3 songs? Is there 10 songs? Whatever. So why don't you set the record straight on when the DVD's coming, how many new songs there are, this, the story that there's at least 3, etc.
No, there's 1. And I gave it to Wendell. He actually has a copy of it. It's called It's Just Another Day. And I was just at Jeff's last night. I was over at Jeff's last night, or was it the night before? I can't remember. Working on that. We're still working on it. We're almost 90% done with fixing some problems we had from the... Because the problem was we were going to do the DVD from the South Dakota show, We filmed it. We recorded it. There were technical problems. I wasn't crazy about some of the stuff we had on it. So then we went to Japan. We recorded that, too, and filmed it. So now I've decided to take the Japan recordings and the footage from the big Loud Park Festival and mix it in with the DVD with footage of Dakota and Japan, which is going to be a lot more work. So now I have to mix 2 records. I have to mix all the songs, Jeff's, and we have to do all the songs from Japan and all the songs from Dakota. So it turned into a double duty project, but we're almost done. Jeff's done a great job. He's a great engineer, and I just go to his house, and I'm just doing some vocal repairs. The other night I was working on the new song, It's Just Another Day. There's just a couple lyrical things that I didn't like. I thought they were a little negative. Not negative, but just a little too much woe is me. So I just kind of flipped a few words to a more positive vibe on the lyrical end of it. And that song came out killer. Wendell has a copy of it. And it'll be coming out with the DVD. But I don't think and as far as the other 2 new songs, they're not new. They're just acoustic versions. We did a new acoustic version of Heaven Sent. We did an acoustic version of Will the Sunrise. So those are the 3 quote-unquote bonus tracks. 2 old Dokken songs acoustically, and 1 brand new song called Just Another Day.
Okay, excellent. Now, the other thing that's in the rumor mill is dates in 2018 with the original, with the 4 of you, not the original, but the 4 of you. Truth or no truth?
I don't know anything about it. I mean, it's too far away, man. Shit. The way the government's going, we can in Korea and Iran, and we could be nuked before 2018.
Well, Don, we kind of reviewed a MusicCon that you're scheduled to attend in May as an 80s icon. What do you know about this as far as your participation is concerned?
Nothing. I just got the offer to go. I thought I was going to do an acoustic show, and they said, no, you just do a Q&A, and I go, you want me to fly all the way there just to answer questions? I can do that on the phone. But, that's what they want. It's a MusicCon thing. I'm just going to do autograph signings, question and answer. It'll be fun. Stephen Piercy will be there and a lot of my friends like that. So we're just going to hang out. I really don't know what MusicCon is. I know I don't even know what it is. You probably know more about it than I do. I'm just going there to answer questions, the same old questions I've been answering for 40 years.
Sure.
Like, you guys need to get back together in 2018. I keep telling everybody, it's a hard call, because, Jeff, if you look at the Foreigner tour dates, those guys are on the road all the time. Right. So how would we do a tour when Jeff would have to take a break from Foreigner, which affects that franchise? George has his KXM projects and his Lynch Mob. We just have to find that right window, but I just really don't see the point of doing it. I just don't. I like the band I have. Why would we want to do? I understand the fans would like to see the original lineup, But I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I like the band I have now, and I think we're better.
Well, Don, why do you think George is constantly beating that drum? Why is it? It seems like every interview he does, recently anyway,
yeah,
that question comes up, and he just like keeps beating that drum that we're going to do this. We as Dokken are going to do this, this, and this, and then on you, when we talk to you, or if I speak to you personally, it's just like, that's not on the table at the moment, or there's no plan for that, or we haven't even discussed that. So why do you think he keeps beating that drum?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
I honestly don't know, Wendell. Chris, I don't know. I just, obviously, it's a money issue. They pay us a lot of money. We got paid quite a bit of money to do 5 shows in Japan. It was a lot of money, and obviously, if we went out and they could prop it up as original lineup, et cetera, like a lot of bands have done, you make a lot of money. Van Halen went out with David again after they said never happened in a million years, and they came home with dragging big sacks of money with them. I understand that, but I don't think I could do it. 5 days in Japan was fine, 3 days of rehearsal, but I just can't see us doing a tour. I think there's so much personalities, and we were all chilled out now. We're all mellow, and I guess, but, I just don't see what the point is. Why would I want to do it? If it's just for money, no, I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
I'm not in this business for money. If I was in this, I'm just not. We made our money. How much money do you need? And I like playing with John, and I like playing with Chris, and I like playing with Mick, so I would probably be missing them. It's a different situation with the original lineup. We're all very different people. George is different, and Jeff, and Mick, and, with the band I have now, that I've had for 13 years, it's more of a family kind of thing, to be honest with you. We never were close in Dokken. Everybody knows that, the infamous infighting and all that, and we just weren't close. There was too much drugs and alcohol and personality differences, but John and I, we're like best friends, and Chris comes out, and we just have a lot of fun. We go to dinner, we hang out together. It's just very easy breezy, and I have reservations of doing a tour with the original lineup and opening old wounds. Let's put it that way.
All right.
I don't need it.
Right. Well, you got some dates coming up here, through 2017. Obviously a couple of weeks from now, like we mentioned earlier, you got M3 coming up, and got a couple.
Yeah, we have 25 dates on the books right now.
Nice. So and I know your personal. What has reignited your, what do you want to call your passion? Because I notice a change in you in the last year. Is it because you're feeling better, or have you got a different outlook on something, or what happened? Because I know there was a time maybe 3 years ago, it was almost a struggle to go out there on the road and perform, but now you seem like you're amped up for it.
I look forward to it now, and as you know, I wasn't well a few years ago. I was sick, and even after I got well and I was clear, I still didn't feel good. I just didn't have a lot of energy. I put on a ton of weight. My voice was scratchy. I started smoking again. I just didn't feel good, and I was just doing it to keep the boys working. But I don't know. I just kind of got frustrated, that I thought, why are we playing when the front man is doing a less than great performance? So, of course, it was a downer for me. And I was trying to get my act together, and it just took a long time. So that's when we took the break. 3 years ago, we did Broken Bones, and we went through all that. That was a tough record to do. I was still sick. I just wasn't well, And my back was killing me all the time. And, when you're in constant pain 24 hours a day, it just puts a big dent in your life, And I'm not anymore. I'm doing yoga, and I'm getting, shots in my back to keep the arthritis and the back injuries at bay, and I'm stretching and, keeping the weight down and, and just not eating pizzas, and I'm just trying to live a healthier life because I'm getting a little bit older. That's what I heard. It's a rumor, but I still, honestly, mentally, I feel like I'm like maybe 35.
Sure. Don, how much of that energy comes from the Perfect 7?
I love my Perfect 7, boss. It's in the Bible, man. It just keeps you clean, you know. I mean, you know, everybody knows if you get hungry and go, let's have a pizza. And you have the pizza and it tastes great, and 2 hours later you're miserable. You know, at least I am.
Right.
You know, I just feel like crap. You put on a couple pounds. It's garbage food. It's garbage in, garbage out. And I just had to change my lifestyle to eat healthier and get on the vegetables and eat fish. And Mick, he just eats fish now. He doesn't eat any meat hardly. It's just can't deal with it. And I'm just tired of feeling crappy. So yeah, I take the Perfect 7 every night religiously before I go to bed. All it is 7 herbs that was in the Bible, and all it does, basically, if you eat garbage or food with fats and butter and stuff like that, you take a couple teaspoons and it just cleans your system out and doesn't allow your body to absorb all that negative food. Right before I called you guys, I just got home. I was at a cooking class all night. I went and took a cooking class on how to cook French food. That was a lot of fun. So I took a cooking class at a culinary class, and everything we made was butter, butter, more butter. Put some more butter in there. I'm like, holy mackerel, man. I'm getting a heart attack just looking at this food. Tasted good. But I was curious about making souffles and stuff like that. So I took a cooking class. But the food's not healthy, you know?
Right. Sure. Well, Don, you have no idea, but you've probably sold, I would say, 100 canisters of this Perfect 7 by turning, because you turned Neely onto it. He turned me onto it. And then we talked about it on the show, and then people kept emailing us for weeks asking for, you know, a link or whatever to buy the stuff. We have all sold a bunch of it.
We should get a cut, man. Yeah, it's been around forever. You know, Mickey D lives in Copenhagen, and he has a hard time finding it over there in Sweden. And in Denmark, you can't find it. And he's, you know, when he's on the road to Scorpions, he's always calling me or somebody saying, I'm getting low on Perfect 7, man. I need a couple more cans of that powder. So I turned Mickey onto that stuff like 25 years ago, you know, when I was on that heavy, I was like a vegetarian during the Up From the Ashes days. I was really, you know, doing my martial arts. I had a trainer. We were working out together, and we all got on the Perfect 7 kick. And all it basically does is just takes all the nasty stuff like fat off a steak or chicken or grease and oil, and it absorbs it because it's got bentonite in it, which is like a clay, and it absorbs all that nasty stuff, and you just feel better. But I think it's funny. People are asking about it. It's hard to find, but it's online. You just type in Perfect 7, you know, and there it is.
Well, Don, I got people Twittering me, asking me, what is that stuff that Don showed you, and what is you? Because we did a whole segment on that. You know, you gave me a jar of that, and I turned it on to Chris, and we did a whole segment on it. And all of our fans are just emailing, what is that? Where do you get it? How do I get that? You know,
Whole Foods. Well, they call it Perfect 7 because it was in the Bible in Genesis 1:29. Because the Jews and even, you know, all the people in the Middle East, they ate a lot of unleavened breads and all that stuff, and it's very filling. So it just came out of the Bible. That's why they call it Perfect 7. It's 7 ingredients. As you know, you've read the ingredients, and it's just a bunch of stuff that it's kind of like Drano for the body. I mean, it's got psyllium husk and alfalfa and rose hips and buckthorn, cascara strigata, which I've been taking for 30 years, bentonite clay, which absorbs all the fats and oils, cayenne pepper, which is also kind of a laxative, lactobacillus to replenish your body, and it's got a little garlic bulb in it and golden seal. This is all stuff that just, as they used to call it nature's broom, and they changed it to, like in the 90s, to Perfect 7 or something. But I don't know. I think that's funny. Everybody wants to take it because what's cool about, as you know, though, you know, if you take 2 teaspoons and put it in a glass of water, and if your phone rings and you get on the phone for 5 minutes, you go to drink it, you can't. If you've ever done that, it turns into glue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't drink it right away, it's over, man. That shit just turns into some kind of a gelatinous stuff you can't swallow. You know, you got to start putting more water in it.
Sure. Absolutely.
And the trick is you've got to drink a lot of water with it. You know, I drink 3 bottles of water with that stuff. But all I know is I'm not promoting it. All I know is It works for me. The proof is in the pudding. I lost 30 pounds just on that stuff. But it takes a long time. It's slow. You lose like a pound a week, and then you have this thing after 3 months. Then you kind of feel sick, and you're taking it, and then all of a sudden you start purging all this weird, bizarre stuff out of your little bottom. And you're like, like this mucusy stuff. You're like, what the hell is that? And that's all the hamburgers and hot dogs and Taco Bell and burritos that's been in us, because people don't understand. When you eat that stuff, it doesn't go out of your system. It gets lodged into your intestines for decades. And all that does is clean it out.
Yeah. Well, it's worked for me, and I appreciate you giving me my first canister. And Chris ordered some right away, and he got on it. And
wow. It was I struck oil, Don. It was disgustingly bad that first run, but ooh.
Yeah, it is pretty gross. If you've never done it, you start taking it, you're going like, what the hell's coming out of me? Why is my poo so slippery? And the truth is, that's what he goes, that's slippery. That is 10 or 20 years of oil and butter and fat coming out of your intestines, and it's just purging it. And I go, I know, it's gross. And then it gets better.
Well, it's all good, Don, and believe me, myself and Chris and all of our fans who's chosen to get involved with that appreciate it as well.
I think that's so funny that people are like all about Perfect 7. It's so funny.
Yeah, well, what's really strange, and Chris and I talk about this on the show all the time, no matter what it is we talk about, whether it's favorite TV shows or movies or documentaries or health supplements or whatever, people want to know, what are you guys doing and how can I get that?
There's so much crap out there, these things on TV about take this pill and you'll lose 20 pounds. Baloney. It's all nonsense, but this is organic. It's in the Bible, and it's been around for 1,000 years, so I think there's some truth in it, but I've had people take it and go, I don't see any difference. I said, you've been on it for a week. You got to wait. And trust me, you're going to get a little creeped out in a couple of weeks. We're not going to go into that. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's not like diarrhea or anything. It's all solid and everything, but you notice things are changing coming out of your little rear end there, and you're like, what is it? And it's years and years and years of bad things in your stomach. And the other upset is, once your colon's clean, once your intestines are clean, then when you eat, you get full quicker, so you eat less. So it's just like all kinds of ramifications why to take that stuff.
Sure.
You don't pig out, on that stuff.
Absolutely.
But that's funny. I've been taking it. Yeah, I started taking that in 91, man, so that's been like 25 years. But I stopped taking it for about 10 years. I just stopped. And I finally said, I think I'm going to go hunt that stuff down again. And Mickey D, he always hits me up, and he didn't want to do it. I forced him into doing it. And I said, dude, you're drinking beer. You like your beer. It's all that barley and hops. You want to get that barley. You want to get that tummy down. Take your Perfect 7. And he does, so.
That's excellent. Well, Don, what is on the horizon this year? I mean, you mentioned you got 25 shows in the books, so yeah. Are you looking forward to anything in particular as far as places to play? I know you're going to do some overseas dates as well. Yeah,
we're going to Europe. I'm a little bummed about going to Germany. It kind of backfired on me. We committed to going to England for a festival, but we wanted to do 2 or 3 more shows while we're there, and they didn't come through. So that's a long ways to fly for one show and turn right. You fly on the 20th, and you fly on the 27th, and then you get there the morning of the 28th, you arrive, and the 29th you play, and then you come home. And it's like, it just burns you out. Even when you're flying first class, it's a burnout. And then right now, I just got an offer to do the Bang Your Head Festival. Vince Neil's on it, Michael Schenker. That's on the 14th of July in Balingen, Germany. But same thing. I said, guys, can you get me a couple extra shows? It's a long ways to fly for one show. Now, granted, you're playing in front of 20,000 people. That's awesome. But it's a lot of flying just to fly over there on the 11th, get there on the 12th, sleep on the 13th, play on the 14th, home on the 15th. So we'll see what happens. I haven't even committed to Bang Your Head. They gave me the offer, and I said, let me ponder it. And then we're going to Mexico, Mick is not happy about it. He thinks we're going to get kidnapped by the cartels. He does, because we're playing not really close, but we're a little bit close to the Medellin. We're playing in Guadalajara, Mexico City, and it's kind of like the Wild Wild West back there, man, in Mexico. And we're doing 3 shows. Or I think 2 shows. I don't know. We're doing Mexico City, Guadalajara, some other town I can't pronounce. But when you go to Mexico, it's tough, because you have to drive a couple hours to these festivals. The roads have got holes in them. You're banging around in a van. I mean, it's not exactly rock star glory or anything. But I want to go back to Mexico to maintain our fan base, because we have a lot of fans, in South America, Brazil, Mexico. So I got to go there every year to keep the fan base.
Well, as far as a fan base goes, Don, as you know, I've promoted you and the band Dokken in fact, I started the show on the influence of Dokken, and I catch a lot of heat personally from, I don't know, who would you say, Chris? Who do I catch the heat from for even mentioning Dokken on this show?
Bobby Blossom.
You know what? I'm going to say it's the way it is. It's not so much about playing Dokken, it's about playing 5 Dokken songs a week. It comes across, it's a lot of the people that are looking for, everybody has a favorite band, and if their favorite band isn't Dokken, then they bitch.
Right. So anyway,
you got the power. It's your guys. It's your show. You can play if you want to play Winger 24 hours a day. It's your business.
Well, I agree, and that's the funny thing. So the question arises periodically because people ask the question, and I talk about it on the show because you've allowed me to hang out with you guys on many, many occasions. People always go, when there's a bad sounding show and there's feedback in the monitors and you're jumping back from the monitors or you're pulling your in-ears out because it's squealing back on you, people don't understand standing on the back side of the stage what you're hearing back there, and hearing that feedback because the sound guy isn't doing his job or he's not paying attention, and there's a bad show or maybe a show that could have been better. People go, Don always blames the sound guy. And it's just like, well, it is the sound guy's fault.
It is the sound guy. It ain't my fault. I'm not in control. And it's a bummer because most of the bands we play with, like we're doing a lot of shows, The Warrant or even Jack Russell's, Great White, they bring their own sound guy. And we always had Frank Trasowski with us, and he was our sound guy. He would set our monitors. He'd set the PA. We'd go on stage. Everything's perfect. We'd kick ass, and it's great. But Frank is in high demand. He just did 50 shows in like Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Romania with Accept. And then he literally had a day off, flew to Japan to do the G5 thing with all the guitar heroes, comes back, does Extreme. So we didn't have him sometimes. And we don't have Frank, man. We call him the fifth member. If I don't have Frank, sometimes we have great people, and sometimes we don't. The whole bullshit debacle that happened in Detroit is that club, because I misspoke and I own it, because I meant to say apologize to our fans about the shitty sound from the warm-up band sound people, but I said sorry about the shitty sound from the for the bands. I didn't mean they were shitty. I meant to say their people that were running the console were shitty. So I spoke out of turn. I didn't mean it. So, of course, you had a shitstorm, people going, how dare you attack these local bands? I wasn't attacking them. The problem with that night when we did that place in Detroit was the owner of the club was doing the sound. There was no sound man. And I went, you're doing the sound? Uh-oh. And we had 5 opening bands. So that was 5 hours of people twiddling knobs. And by the time we got on stage, it was a disaster. I rarely have to stop a show after 4 songs and go, I'm leaving the stage now, and all you can hear is, that's all you hear. And I'm like, fix the damn sound. That's when I said, I'm sorry about the shitty sound from the opening bands. What I meant was, sorry about the shitty sound from the engineers or from the opening bands. So everybody got an uproar, but I apologize. That's all I can do. If people want to attack me, so be it. But you've been on stage, Wendell, on stage, and you've heard that feedback. When that thing comes out of those monitors facing me, it takes your head off.
Yeah, it blows you backwards.
I mean, and it's in my ears. People don't realize singers wear in-ear monitors. When that thing goes raging into my ears, it's like somebody taking a bullhorn and blasting the side of your head. It is painful. And I don't like it, so I try to bite my tongue. Hell, 15 years ago, I throw little childish tantrums, but I don't do that anymore. I just try to keep my cool, and that's why I take the in-ears out, and I just say, okay, we're going old school. I can't hear myself. I'll do the best I can. But, any band on our level should always have a sound man with them. And we just haven't found the guy that's able to come on the road because we're doing such sporadic dates. If I was on tour doing a 40-show run with Judas Priest or something, well, of course we'd have our own sound guy and our own monitor guy and our own lighting guy. But those days have kind of slipped by the way unless you're getting paid a small fortune.
Right.
You can't afford to have 4 guys flying around extra. It's impossible.
Right. Well, people have commented to me on the show or through messages or whatever. It's like, well, Don walks off the side of the stage and he's over there at the board and this and that. And I go, you know what? Don's a producer. He's an engineer. He's a musician. He's got 40-plus years experience. You don't think Don Dokken knows how to set up a board if he goes over there and looks at it?
That's exactly right. And sometimes when I'm looking at the guy saying help, and 3 songs deep, there's no help. When John goes into a guitar solo, you see me, I run to the side of the console, and I say, excuse me, let me in here. Excuse me, why don't you go to the bathroom or go have a cigarette? Let me get in here and fix this mess. And I just jump on the console and I fix it, because I'm an engineer. But I shouldn't have to do that. It's not very professional. But that's the problem, when you have guys that, and plus it's a lack of caring. And I don't blame these guys. You got a monitor guy that does 4 or 5 bands a night, 7 days a week. He's not really invested, If it goes good, great. If it goes bad, so what? But, me, I'm picky. I want the shit right. I want us to sound amazing. And we did a show about a month ago. We had about 2,000 people. It was awesome. We played our butts off. Everybody was happy. We left the stage. A couple people came back to say hi, and they said it was a really great show, except, John's guitar wasn't on. I said, say what? He says, John's guitar wasn't in the PA. I said, you're shitting me, right? The whole show, there was no guitar in the PA? Nope. Just bass, drums, and vocals. I went, oh, shit. That's frustrating, man. So we don't know. We're on stage. I can hear John perfectly off the Marshalls, and I'm thinking, are you trying to tell me the engineer couldn't figure out how to get the microphone turned on over an hour and a half? I mean, what the hell? And so John said he didn't hear me, and he goes, was my guitar off in the PA? We're going, no, you were fine. Because if I tell John his guitar's not in the PA, he gets really upset, and it really affects him.
Yeah, it does. I've stood out front of the house personally to listen for that kind of stuff, and I can tell you when it's on and when it's off or when it's not coming through or whatnot.
Yeah, and you've told me that before, when the vocals are too low or the guitar is too low. Unfortunately, when I talk to you backstage afterwards, too late to fix it.
Right.
And it damages us and it hurts us. So I guess it's my problem. It's my responsibility. I just have to step up. And we're looking right now for an engineer. There's some guy that was doing a gig with Winger, and he was like really good. It's a sound company in Vegas. And I called Kip and said, I need that guy's phone number because we're going to start paying the extra money to bring a guy along. I'll spend a couple extra $1,000 just for the peace of mind to go on stage and not have any problems.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Don, I sent you a YouTube video last week of the Monsters of Rock tour where you were performing at the Akron Rubber Bowl, which is where both Chris and I were brought up.
Right.
Did you look at that at all?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, you didn't like the performance?
No, I love the performance. I just am embarrassed about the clothes I was wearing.
Well, that was the time, though.
But I wasn't even wearing rock clothes. I remember that gig. It was like 114 degrees out, and it was brutally hot and humid. So I put on a pair of like my jogging white pants, and I figured if I wear white, people can see me, you know, when you're playing like for 100,000 people. If you're in black, and we're playing the daytime. So I decided to wear those white baggy pants, a white shirt rolled up, and a black vest. And I thought, what the hell am I wearing? I just looked, I don't know, I looked like a guy selling ice cream or something. I don't know what the hell I was wearing.
Well, I'm glad that somebody captured that footage, because for me personally, it was kind of nostalgic. And I know Chris, you know, he only lives a few miles from there, you know.
I went to that show. It was great.
It was a great show. We had a great time. I have the fondest of memories of the Monsters of Rock, because it was kind of the pinnacle of our career. And we were doing a stadium every day. We did 40 stadiums in 6 weeks. That's over 1 million people. That's a lot of people to play for in 6 weeks. And that was pretty awesome.
And not only Dokken, but all the bands were just on top of it. You know,
everybody was raging. Scorpions were amazing. The only thing I hated about that tour is that at the time, people felt that we were more famous at the time than Metallica, because they hadn't broken out with the Black Album yet. They were popular, and they were huge in Europe, and they were doing well in America, but they weren't at an arena level yet. They just went into arenas after that tour, so they decided they should go on before us. And that was just like, that's like going on like after AC/DC. I mean, it's like you just don't. How do you go on after Metallica? It's impossible. Right. We got our ass kicked.
Well,
I mean, what do you do when they close the show with "Kill 'Em All," and we come out there doing songs like
"Just Got Lucky"?
Got lucky, a melodic pop song. I'm like, now I remember after the third show we did, I said, okay, guys, what we should do probably is drop all our hits, because those are the ones that people know that was on MTV, which is more commercial hard rock, and let's just do all our heavy stuff. Let's do Paris, Tooth and Nail, Kiss of Death, you know, even The Hunter is pretty heavy. Let's just do all our heavy stuff. And that didn't work, because people are going, well, how come you're not playing In My Dreams and Alone Again, Breaking the Chains? And I'm like, oh, damned if we do, damned if we don't. But it was funny to watch when Metallica went on. People just rushed the stage and just crushed everybody in the front. But on the upside of that, I didn't feel we were playing that well the first couple of shows, because we'd just done a 16-month world tour. Judas Priest, we did a stadium tour with AC/DC, 50 shows in Europe. Then we went to Japan, 2 days off, did a headline tour, sold out in Japan, flew back to LA for 4 days, and started the tour. And we were burned out. And nobody else was. Scorpions hadn't toured in several years. Metallica hadn't toured. Van Halen hadn't toured. So everybody was fit for fight and ready to kick ass. And we were kind of like worn down a little bit. So we had to really, after Metallica and watching Scorpions and Van Halen, we really had to step up our game. So it took us a few shows to get there, but it made us a better band. George was playing great, Mick, Jeff, everybody was just playing amazing. So I have fond memories of that. It's just so tragic that we had booked ourselves a world tour, headlining in arenas, following my dream come true. You know, after Monsters, we were going to go out, do a new record, do a headlining world tour, and we broke up, you know. And we broke up. It's like, I tried. I didn't want to. I didn't want to leave the band. I started the band. It's my band, you know, and I didn't want to leave, but I just couldn't come to some George and I couldn't have what I called a come to Jesus moment. We just couldn't meet in the middle of the bridge, and we tried and tried and tried and tried. It's not my fault. It's not his fault. We just couldn't get to the middle of the bridge to come to peace, to continue. And my stress levels were so high, and I was so anxious all the time because of all the bickering and arguing, and the drugs were crazy. I found out after the tour, not only was those guys on drugs, the whole crew was on drugs. My whole crew was all coked out. George was coked out. Jeff was coked out. Mick was coked out. And I'm the other direction. I'm popping sleeping pills, you know, when you go to bed. So it was just, coke was never my thing. I don't get that drug. I don't understand it. But so, you know, I was really worried that somebody was going to die or overdose. I mean, it got really, really bad, the drugs on that tour. It was really bad. So I left, and the rest is history. We know that whole story.
Sure. Well,
it was nice playing Japan. I was worried about this reunion. You know, George left Dokken 22 years ago. He hasn't been in the band since 97?
Yeah, 97, yeah.
You know, Reb came in, and then Norm came in, and then Alex DeRosa finished up the Scorpions tour with me because John wanted to go home. He was burned out, so he went home, and I brought in Alex. And so George and I haven't played together, you know, on a touring level for over 20 years. So I didn't know what's going to happen. We don't barbecue together. I didn't know if George and I would get along, and I was very, very pensive, and I was very worried that we would have a problem after all these years and the tour would go badly. But it went great. George and I got along fine. We hung out in the bullet train. We talked shit about politics and Indians, and, you know, it all went great. So that's why George, I think, is thinking, we got along great, so why don't we go out in 2018, make a shitload of money, and, you know, that's what I think's going on there. But why? Because the truth is, if we do a Dokken reunion in 2018, when the tour is over, Jeff's going to go back to Foreigner. George is going to go back to doing his projects, Lynch Mob, the Keg Sounds, all the other projects he does. What do? I'm just supposed to call up John and Mick and Chris and go, okay, let's pick up where we left off. It would hurt my franchise. So I can't do it. It would damage the 20 years I've spent building up the fan base to show the Dokken fans that just because we're not original members doesn't mean we're lesser of a band. The proof in the pudding is that is Foreigner. They have no original members. Does anybody care? Apparently not.
Yeah.
I mean, none. What's his name? Mike Stone, the only guy left? Is that his name? Mike Stone or Mick Stone?
Mick Jones?
He's the only guy left in Foreigner. From what I see, he only shows up like once a month.
Yeah, Mick Jones.
Mick Jones, that's his name, Mick Jones. He owns the franchise, but from the footages I've seen, the concerts I've seen, you rarely see Mick Jones on tour with Foreigner, from what I see. But the truth is, they're still playing big places. Everybody goes to see Foreigner. They want to hear the hits. I don't think anybody walks out and goes, oh, it's not the original singer, it's Kelly Hansen, and it's not
Lou Graham,
who was like a iconic singer. And it was so sad that he had that brain tumor, and he got sick, and then he can't do it anymore. You know, so shit happens, man. But I feel the same way about Dokken. We got half the band intact. You got Wild Mick back there pounding it out. So I don't see the point in doing a reunion tour except if I want to retire and make a couple $1,000,000 in 2018 and go home and take cooking classes.
Well, Don, something we've never really discussed. Recently, you know, there was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Chris and I both feel it's kind of a joke, even though it is located in Cleveland. But, you know, some you know, bigger bands finally got inducted way past their time. One of the biggest one obviously is Journey, that got inducted this past week with Steve Perry showing up just for the ceremony. He didn't perform with the band. What are your thoughts on the Rock Hall? I mean, is that something that you even think about or care about, or is that just like that's just what is it for you personally, or is it anything for you?
Nothing for me. If we got inducted, apparently I know a lot of people that have been inducted, and they all told me it was a nightmare. I won't say who it was, but I know several bands that got inducted, and they said they're getting inducted. They're filming it. It's going to be on television. They're generating millions of dollars in commercials and all this shit. And I heard from many, many bands in the last couple of years that got inducted that said when they went to go there and they bring their wife or their kids or their mom to watch them get inducted, they charge them thousands of dollars if they want to sit down in the front.
Yeah, $10,000 a ticket.
Ludicrous. And a ticket. That is so insulting and ludicrous. Are you going to induct Paul McCartney when he did and say, but your wife has to buy a ticket? It's crazy. I can't say who did it. And the guy said, you know what, man? My dad was like 85. My mom's like 84. I wanted to have him to sit down in the front. My kids, I had 2 kids in their 20s, and he had to spend like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars so his family could sit down in the front and watch their father get inducted. That is an insult, in my opinion. So I don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah. Would you have any? Do you hold out any hope or even thought that Dokken would ever be inducted into a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, I hope that people believe we were somewhat instrumental into the 80s hard rock scene. I think we left an indelible mark because we were one of the first bands to come out. There's many, many bands that came out in the 80s, but the bands that came out of the Hollywood scene, Quiet Riot, Van Halen, Dokken, we came out, a year and a half after Van Halen. And we've sold millions and millions of records, too. So is there a timeline? You have to be like 30 years or something?
25 after your first release.
Well, we're pushing, Breaking the Chains was 81, so 91, 2001, 2011. Yeah, we're way over the limit. We're pushing 37 years. So why don't they nominate us? Maybe they think we're not valid. And when I say they, who are they? Who decides?
Well, it's certainly not the fans. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, why isn't it a fan vote? Why don't they have like a thing where like the Grammys? How come the fans don't vote? Not the Grammys, the American Music Awards. I've been nominated for a Grammy. I've been nominated for American Music Awards. Who decides who's relative and who isn't? Right. I mean, it's like your show. You get to play what you want. If you want to play Dokken, that's your business. Look at Greg Napier on WMMT. He has Dokken Sundays where he plays entire records of ours.
Sure.
He does Saturday nights. He does Friday nights where he'll do a 4 or 5 song block of all, not Dokken hits, which I really love about Greg. WMNT, they'll play like you guys, like Lesser Two Evils, The Maze, Standing in the Shadows, all kinds of songs that people don't remember maybe unless you're a hardcore fan that just remembers from the MTV days. So he does what the hell he wants, and he plays Dokken. Why does he play? He loves Dokken. That's his business, and I appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. Well,
besides these days, you're not a Clear Channel. You're not Clear Channel. So apparently, since the 80s, what is it, 90% now? Is that the thing that Clear Channel owns on the radio stations?
Yeah, it was something like that. I know they've been divesting a lot of those stations because they're basically going broke.
They're going broke. They bought all these stations. I remember back in the days when you had your show in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
When I met you, you had your show, and you had a program director, and you guys had meetings, and you decided which new albums and which new songs that were coming out. There's only so much time to pick which songs you thought were good and which songs weren't. But now, apparently, there's like 3 chicks with mohawks sitting in Manhattan on the 27th floor deciding what's going to be played. And I think that is just not fair.
Yeah. Well, Chris did a show in Cleveland on the biggest rock station in the nation at one point, WMMS.
Right.
And he did the metal show over there for how many years, Chris?
8.
8. And that was a huge station.
Oh, yeah. I was a player.
See, Cody just barked and said, you're right. Cody. Come here, Cody. He just agreed with you. He said, yes, that's right. He said Greg was a player. Cody's chasing squirrels, as usual, in coyotes. It's coyote night, so.
Well, Don, I'm looking forward to seeing you at M3 in a couple of weeks, as well as the Loud and Lima show in July.
Oh, yeah, in July we're doing it on the July 21st.
Yeah.
In Allen County, Lima, Ohio.
Lima, Ohio. That's where I went to college, and that's where I unfortunately got married.
Uh-oh.
that was a long time ago. But Chris is going to be there. Of course, I'll be there. Some of our friends are going to be there, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, I have to ask myself, what would happen if there weren't shows like yours? If you didn't have the classic metal show, if you didn't have people like WMMT, Craig Napier show up way up in Podunk, Kentucky. There's like all these holdout stations that are trying to keep music alive, and you don't just play. And it's stupid for someone to say you play too much Dokken. You play all kinds of crazy stuff on your show that I don't even remember. You play Saxon. You play King Diamond. You play all kinds of stuff. So what are they talking about?
I know, but we even got a comment this week. What was it, Chris? Some guy asked us, could you possibly, what was his comment, Chris, about shoveling
a horse trailer or something?
Could you fit Dokken into the subject of cleaning out horse stables?
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, that means that we fit Dokken into just about every discussion we have. So could we fit them into, if we were discussing cleaning horse stables, could we fit Dokken into that discussion?
Well, I'm sorry, we're good friends for several. I'm sorry. The thing is, we're not just friends on a professional level. We're personal friends. So that's just the way it rolls, man. And if you had a rock band and I liked your band and I had a radio station, I'd probably be playing a lot of Wendell's music, or Chris's music. That's just the way it rolls,
That's how it goes.
Exactly. Maybe I'll do it. Nicky Six plays what he wants. He's got his radio show. I don't think anybody complains if he plays too much Motley.
Well, he's rock royalty, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is he rock royalty?
I don't know. That's what the fans say. Well, he's untouchable. He's a rock god, He's untouchable. He's rock royalty.
Bullshit.
I don't know what that means.
Well, because he portrays himself as being above the average fan, that I almost died from heroin, but I came back because I was meant to be here because I'm supposed to spread some kind of message to you, lower, the people in the lower echelon.
That's called the Jesus complex.
More or less.
Well, Nicky is pretty much a cunt. That's what he is.
Yeah.
I'll say it. You don't have to. I will.
I don't know Nicky that well. I mean, of course, I knew him back in the days. We actually did. It's funny. Our first showcase when I got back from Germany, we showcased for 5 labels, and it was Motley Crue and Dokken. We played at the Roxy together the night they got signed to Elektra, and we opened for them. But I knew Mick. I knew Mick long before Motley Crue days when he was in Vendetta. So I go way back with Mick Mars. We lived like 2 blocks from each other. And we hung out and jammed, and I'd go down to the local bars he was playing at, and he'd say, Donnie, you got to come down 4 hours. I need to sit down, because he has a bad back. As everybody knows, he has spinal stenosis. And it's really, it's a very painful thing, and I know because I have it too, just not as bad as him. But rock royalty, who put that tag on anybody? Paul McCartney is rock royalty. Ian Gillan's rock royalty. Led Zeppelin.
Mick Jagger.
All that's rock royalty. I mean, I don't see anybody from the 80s. I'm sure everybody's talented. I think Nicky's a very smart guy. He wrote some great songs, very catchy. But whatever you think about Nicky, I don't know the guy, but from what I've seen, he had a vision about Motley Crue, their clothes, their look, their hair, the kind of the New York Dolls, injecting that kind of New York Dolls into their whole trip. And I respect him that he had a vision, and he stuck to that vision, and that vision made him a very, very famous band. So anybody that makes it, God bless them. You don't have to like a band for being successful, but you got to give them a thumbs up. The fact they stuck to it and they made it. Would I be proud of waking up with a needle in my arm, overdosing, going to the hospital, waking up, take my Narcan, and go home, shoot up again? It's not something I want my kids to hear about. But that's his business,
Sure.
Maybe I'll go on a show sometime. We can talk about it. But things change when you have kids. I don't want my kids to hear about my drug problems. I had drug problems but I don't anymore. And that's probably, you said, about 5 years ago when I was kind of down and out. Well, no, I think that was after. I think after I got off all the painkillers and all that shit, I think spiritually I got a little bit lost. I didn't know what to do, you know. I was like, I can't take a pill anymore and feel better. Now what do I do? Wait a minute. Do I have to be happy all by myself with no drugs? What the hell am I going to do now? And you have to find your spiritual focus. Either go into Buddhism or meditation or go join the Scientologists. God forbid. Don't get me started on that crap. Bunch of fucking nut jobs, man.
Yeah, we talked about Billy Sheehan and his involvement with that.
And he's deep in it. You know, Billy took me to Scientology once. Billy asked me if I wanted to go and check it out. And I said, sure. And I went, and there's some other girl, and we went to the quote-unquote celebrity center a long time ago. And I went in, looked around. It was very beautiful, very nice. But I remember saying, so if you're somebody, you get to hang out in the cool place, the old hotel mansion, and if you're just a schlepper, you have to go down to the blue building and sit in a cubicle. That's discrimination. And you know, my first lineup of Dokken, we went to Europe in 1979. The drummer Greg Pecca was a Scientologist. And the reason he didn't go on the second tour, when I took Gary Holland, was because the church told him that it was evil and my music was bad, and that if he went to Germany for a lousy 10 days in Dokken, he'd have to pay money and tithe, that they call it, and give half his paycheck, and he's going to have to clean toilets. I said, they don't mean really clean toilets. He goes, oh no, yeah, I'll have to clean the bathrooms. And I said, is there any God involved here? Jesus? What the hell is this? So I went out and bought Dianetics. What a crackpot bunch of garbage. Can you imagine it? And these son of a bitches don't pay taxes. You pay taxes. Chris pays taxes. I think I'm going to start the Dokken religion. And I'm going to go to the government and tell them I don't want to pay. And you guys can fly down once a month, and we'll put up a little altar, and I'll put a little book up and go, and in the 50s there was Elvis, and in the 40s there was Frank Sinatra. That'll be our religion, music. And we'll just get a tax deferment, and we'll all get rich.
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
I think so too.
Maybe you should have the religion. Maybe your Sunday show should do a Sunday show and call it the Classic Metal for Jesus show.
Sounds like a plan. I'll look into that.
And have them send money in and tell them what and you got to do the thing like, I'm touching the microphone right now. I'm touching the microphone. I see there's somebody out there with $2,000 and their back hurts. If you send that money in, I'm going to send you a piece of rock that I picked up in Jerusalem, and you rub the rock on your ass, and your back will stop hurting. And people do it. And they're like, really? It's a real rock? This guy is laughing his ass off. He's in the parking lot picking up rocks and saying they're from Jerusalem. And if they are from Jerusalem, what the hell does that have to do with healing your back? But unfortunately, there's a sucker born every minute, and I'm not buying into it. So, whatever. There's a lot of bands I don't like that people love, and I say I don't get it. So that's my prerogative, and yours, and Chris's. If everybody liked the same band, it'd be a pretty boring world. The funny thing about you say about Dokken, you play too much Dokken. How about the other 250 stations in this country that have mandatory Metallica Sundays?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
KLOS does it. They have mandatory Metallica on Sundays. I'm like, okay.
You know, they need the exposure, Don.
Yeah, you know, because I heard they're down there to last $50 million. You know, they got to get some airplay. Spread the wealth, boys. I'm happy for them, but, you know, does anybody giving those stations shit for playing too much Metallica? Nope.
No.
Or, unfortunately, think about this. I live in Los Angeles. I don't know how many people we got living in this town. There's no rock. Zero. Yeah. There's just KLOS. And the only thing I listen to when I'm out running around doing errands between 12 and 2 is a great show. I love it. And that's the guitar player from the Sex Pistols. Jonesy's Jukebox it's on. It's in 12 to 2. and he plays all kinds of obscure stuff. I mean, like stuff I don't know where he finds this stuff, man. Like, he goes deep, deep, deep into, like, really awesome 60s and 70s tracks. And it's called Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS every day, 12 to 2. And that's the only thing that's got any validity in this whole town full of 10 million people. Or you could listen every 45 minutes and hear Freebird.
Sure. Well, we talk about that all the time, and that's something we don't want to do, so.
What is Freebird about? Why is everybody... I mean, it's a great song. I think they play that because everybody wants to go take a leak. So it's like 10 minutes long, right? It's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Put on Freebird. Well, my burritos just got here. Hey, where's the perfect 7? Come on, get it over here.
Well, my break is too high to fly.
Exactly. It's like 10 minutes long, I think.
Don, believe me, every time we have technical problems, Too High to Fly, the live version comes on where you do like
or Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Oh yeah, the Ancient Mariner, boy. That you can do an add-on in your house while that thing's playing. Well, good to talk to you guys. I'm glad I'm going to see you in Lima. Yeah, we'll be July 21st in Allen County, Lima, Ohio, and we got Platte County coming up in Columbus, Nebraska. I don't know my geography worth a damn. So I guess the nearest place we're playing in your guys' neck of woods is I'll see you at M3, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go to M3. I'm flying out on Friday night, so I'll be there Saturday. So,
yeah, you know what I'm stoked about M3 this year? This will be our 4th time playing there, and finally we get to play in the dark.
Nice.
I know it shouldn't make a difference, but let's face it, when you got the lights going and you got all the rock and roll paparazzi, man, it helps the show.
Sure it does.
It's visual. We are sentient beings. We are not just, it's about the sound and the visualization. And I've always felt like no matter how great we played in the daytime at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the next band goes on, and I won't say who, and they've done not very well, and the fans seem to be going crazy for them, and I'm like, I think it's the light show, It
right.
helped. Right. So this is our first time playing M3. We're going on at 8:45, I think, and I checked the calendar, and it's going to be dark, and I'm excited about that.
Excellent. And before you go, Don, you are playing a show in the fall in a little town called Pekin, Illinois, for the Rockin' Skulls.
We are?
Well, you are.
Show.
Oh, I'm doing an acoustic show. Yeah. That's the Rockin' Skull in October.
Right.
27th, and I'm looking forward to that too, because I'm going to plan on doing if they let me, I want to play like an hour and a half. And I don't want to just play the hits. I'm going to do the same thing you guys do with some of our songs. I'm going to figure out a way acoustically to play some of the Dokken songs that I love, like The Maze, acoustically, and songs like that I want to put into the set. So it should be interesting to see how that flies. Well,
we had the promoter Justin Murr on the show earlier tonight, so we talked to him about that. So
don't let me do it says 60 minutes. I want to play 90.
Well, since you're the headliner that night, I don't see why not.
Yeah, people get bored and they go, "Oh man, is Dokken still up there playing? I'm going home." That's fine. Go to the bar, get a cocktail or ask them for a couple shots of Perfect 7 and come back.
Nice.
We'll have a nice poo together after the show.
There you go. All right, Don, a much ignored album that doesn't get as much play as I'd like to see it, and I'd like to see you sometime break something out from this. At least one song in one of your solo shows is from your Up From the Ashes, and we'll close out this little interview with something from that. So what do you think we should play?
Well, you did Lesser of the Two Evils. That was on that album.
No,
right?
No. That was on Dysfunctional. I'm talking about your solo Up From the Ashes.
Oh, Up From the Ashes. Crash and Burn?
Okay, we can do that. So any story behind that in particular?
Well, the one thing I do love about that song is, in my opinion, and people have asked me who my favorite guitar player of all time is, and I always say Billy White, who was in the band. And he was only 20 years old when he joined us. I got turned on to him, I think from Lars Ulrich from Metallica, had a cassette of a band he was in at the time in Austin, and God, I can't remember the name of that band for right now. But anyway, he came out to L.A., I had to talk to his parents to make sure he'd be okay, and he was an amazing guitar player. Then I bring on John Norum, and the cool thing about that song is they're both playing solos, trading off, and then they're playing solos in harmony. They're both shredding the same solo in a harmony, which I thought was very impressive. And the title Crash and Burn came from, I just came out of that really bad time after the band broke up and were lawsuits, and they sued me. I couldn't use my name anymore, which I said, why aren't you suing my father or my grandfather? But they took my name away from me, Dokken, and that was really a hard hit for three people to take my name, that I'd had a band called Dokken 8 years before I ever met them. So the whole thing about Crash and Burn to Live Again, Up from the Ashes I Rise, that was just my way of saying fuck you.
All right. Good story. I love it. All right, Don, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, boss. Take care. Be safe. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. We'll have some fun. And I've still got 10 days off and no more cooking classes. So it's going to be fun. I'm really looking for that 3-day run, because all those places we're playing, like Portland, Maine's almost sold out. Baltimore, it's going to be packed. We got we're playing Hampton Beach. I love that casino. It's a blast playing there. It sounds good. And the best thing is, I'll bet money that none of those shows are going to have any feedback.
Very good.
Take care, guys. Be safe. Be happy. And let's hope that the world's still going to be here. Someday we'll get on to politics. And I can't even watch TV anymore. It's like Trump television 24 hours a day. I can't watch it. Some crazy shit going on, man. I'm just like, I just want to go out and play music, and I can't get involved in all this. But lives matter. Rock musicians' lives matter. That's my new thing I'm starting,
There you go. All right, let's just hope we don't crash and burn.
You got that right, boss. Take care. Love you guys. Take care. Stay out of trouble. And stop playing so much damn Dokken.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Don. We'll talk again.
All right. Don't forget to take your Perfect 7.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is Don Dokken from the Don Dokken Band, Up from the Ashes with Crash and Burn. And Chris, was that a fun interview or what?
Always fun.
Don is just so open and honest.
With us. With everybody else, he does the Jeff Tate-like interview.
Sure. Well, see, people always ask me, how come you always got to go hang out with Don? What is it about those guys? That's the reason why.
Yeah, he is fun. He's definitely. It's weird because his persona. I mean, the famous persona, the one that everybody knows, is like this serious dark guy, and he's not. He's definitely, his humor is a little bit darker, I guess, but he's every bit as silly as like Mick.
Absolutely.
He really, and when you're backstage and he starts cracking up, if you get him on a topic he wants to talk about, fucking clear the room, because he's just gonna go. And he's fun. He's fun.
He never ceases to entertain me, and especially when I'm around, because we sit there and just cut up about all kinds of stuff. It's just like, it's just fun.
It is. It always is, and I mean, the fans do give you grief about it, but whatever. You know what? They're the same ones that be doing the same fucking thing. So stop it. Sure.
But there you go. So this has been quite a show tonight. A lot of fun calls tonight, and I especially enjoyed the real Jeff Tate call.
Yeah, that was good.
That was hysterical.
Yeah. And this was a quality show, start to finish.
It was, absolutely. It went so fast, and the callers tonight.
Callers were good. Jan in Finland.
our friend from Texas.
Yeah.
Driving to get a piece of ass and blew out his transmission.
So
good.
And just The callers were good. The show was good. The topics were good.
Ozzy Ace.
He's just got me. Go ahead.
He's just so happy to talk to us.
I know, talking to the legends.
Yeah. So.
And then you got me screaming and hollering there early on in the show, so a little bit of everything tonight.
Yeah, then of course the chat room. That was a full chat tonight.
Yeah, all night. It was great.
So everybody participating had a little piece of the show tonight. So it's been a lot of fun. But we gave you bonus time. We gave you almost 40 minutes extra. So
bonus time.
It's like it's like the creator above bestowing gifts upon you.
Yeah, so there. So don't throw it in the closet.
That's exactly right. So for those of you
your gift.
So for those of you of the Christian or Protestant persuasion, happy Easter to you.
Yeah.
And for the rest of you, burn in hell.
Yeah, for the rest of you, enjoy tomorrow. It'll be a nice day.
It is. All right, Mr. Aiken, it's been a great show. I will be live with you in the same studio next Saturday. I'm going to be making the trip to Ohio.
What?
Yes, I will be making the trip over, and you and I will share the studio in the same room.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and then we'll open up the Ozzy Ace gift on the air.
That's going to be fun, too.
So we'll do that. All right, well, we will be back next Saturday. I'm going to let you pick the closing song.
All right. You know what? In honor of us not playing enough Dokken, I'm going to say play another Dokken song.
What?
I know. Me requesting a Dokken
song.
No
way.
Can you believe it?
Could you fit Dokken into dunging out a horse stall?
I'm going to try right now. And I'm going to go cheese ball.
All right.
I'm going to go hit.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ballad.
Oh.
You know what I'm going with.
Alone again?
Of course.
All right.
I'm going to go with everything that every listener hates. Everybody that bitches about Dokken, they'll bitch about Dokken, they'll bitch about the ballads, and they'll bitch about that song being overplayed.
So you're just going to really rub it in.
I am going to take that fucking Alone Again and ram it up your ass like a razor blade line dildo. Just ram it in there.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing. Eat a bag of dicks, you fucking complaining fucks.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We will be back next Saturday. We'll do this thing all over again. So until next Saturday night, this is Neely along with my very good friend
Chris Aiken.
And we are out of here.
Bye, kids.
Hi, this is Don Dokken, and you listen to my very good friend Neely on the classic metal show, Rockin'.